who is going to unite the country. And that's needed. So we talked about leadership, we talked about economy, we talked about energy, we talked about foreign policy. Let's talk about character for a second. I know Obama hasn't been scrutinized the way Palin has been scrutinized, but I think it's about time that we also mention what I call guilt by association. When we assess a friend, we always have to see what kind of people he's surrounding himself with, right? Come on, it's just a fact of life. 20 years was the time frame that Reverend Wright, who has by now, to many amongst us, the same level of Nazism perception as the Ku Klux Klan has to the black community, was for 20 years Obama's spiritual advisor. I'm not talking a year or two, I'm not talking a few sermons, I'm talking 500 sermons plus, where Obama listened to this man, who claims that America invented the AIDS virus
Incoming subspace signal
to eradicate the black man. Well, what about Ayers? What about Resco? What about this Chicago mafia, which makes Obama look at times almost like a Manchurian candidate? Somebody they built up from the beginning, very, very carefully planned. Nobody ever talks about that. Now, in terms of character, I can't say Obama has a bad character or not. What I can say is McCain has again and again proven his character by suffering and sacrificing for it. Whereas I just don't see proof. I don't see a track record. I don't see factual proof on Obama's side. I'm always impressed if any person, no matter if government official or private friend, is able to admit in a humble manner a mistake. We all commit mistakes, right? Have you ever heard Obama admitting a mistake? Real mistake? I've heard McCain on several occasions admitting that, apologizing for it, taking responsibility for it. I've seen McCain losing an entire primary due to the fact that he stood straight, honest, humble before the Iowa people and said, sorry, I'm going to kill your ethanol subsidies. It cost him an important primary. But he had the guts to do it anyway, because he felt it was right. Could have gone home from Vietnam and didn't go home. I think 9 out of 10 amongst us would have gone home, hurting everywhere on our bodies. Let's talk about toughness and strength and perseverance, tenacity. That guy has proven that he's tough. And that's the kind of toughness we need in the upcoming years. I think Obama is a great guy. I just haven't seen proof yet. That's the difference I make. I don't have a track record of tenacity. I don't have a track record of sacrifice for the country or service to the country. I just don't have it. And I don't see leadership experience. Sorry. Asked about leadership experience, Obama nowadays mentions, hey, I'm managing a campaign with 1,000 employees and $350 million in money. Well, that's huge. But the logic is about the same as if I drive down to Los Angeles for a job interview and the employer asks me, do you have travel experience, Mr. Zola? And I say, yeah, I just drove from Ojai to Los Angeles. See what I mean? The logic doesn't quite function. Apart from the little fact that we have campaign managers to do the actual executive leadership of these campaigns. Just the fact alone that he mentions this as track record for his executive leadership experience, that's scary, all right? And that kind of speaks to his character as well, all right? My last remark is pointed at the biggest argument Obama makes. His argument is about change, right? I argue very simple. If you want to change something, and I had to do that several times in my life when having to go into a new company and turn the company around, obviously I had to change something. In order to change something, you got to know what I call the situation. And you have to know it in depth. Oftentimes you spend your first few months analyzing the situation just to make sure that you understand precisely what the situation is. You know the players, the problems, the processes, procedures. Only after you've done that can you actually go ahead and change things. In other words, if you want to change your car, improve it, tune it up, whatever, you need to be a mechanic. If you want to change Washington, you better know what's happening there. You better know the players. You better know the procedures. You better know what needs to be changed. Words of change alone ain't gonna cut it. So, in order to change Washington, you have to have the experience in Washington and the knowledge. That alone disqualifies Obama. Just right there, he's disqualified. Because he comes in there as a newbie and he tries to sell you that he's going to change everything. Not going to happen. McCain has the experience. He's got the knowledge. He knows the people, the players. He spent his entire political life there. Okay, good. Now he talks also about change. What leads me to believe that he can implement change? Well, who actually branded the name Maverick? He's the first politician being called a Maverick, right? Who is the guy who has a track record of actually legislation targeted and geared towards change? McCain does. He has a track record of change. So not only does he have the experience, I believe, he actually is credible when he talks about change. Now, he hired Sarah Palin from left way outside the box. Everybody was surprised, even the Republican Party. Doesn't that speak to thinking outside of the box? Doesn't that speak to change? Now, let's look at Palin. She's got a track record of change and reform. In Alaska, very successful. She's got a resume you can look at and see accomplishments. Change. So, in a nutshell, if both candidates talk about change, one of them actually can back it up with actual results. So McCain brings experience and change. Whereas Obama brings, again, promises and words. So all this you find outlined, you find it in detail analyzed on my website, californiaformccain.blogspot.com. I hope I was able to make the case, because it breaks my heart to see an honorable man being crunched under the media, being attacked, and being not elected just because Bush has such a low popularity. I find it extremely unfair. I think the man has deserved a shot at the most important job, and I believe he can deliver. Doesn't mean that Obama isn't going to be a candidate in the future. I don't believe we would have that discussion if we had Hillary Clinton or Colin Powell or even Condoleezza Rice to choose from. But we have Obama to choose from. And that guy is just a campaigner. But he hasn't proven to me independent, white, bitter, gun-toting, Bible-quoting guy that he can deliver. I feel he is an elitist. I feel he is a socialist. I feel he's going to bring the country to the left, and I feel he has a lack of judgment and a lack of experience.